Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al once again, Monday morning, going over an NBA first look for you. Hope you had a good weekend. Hope that the spring forward went okay for you. It didn't throw off your body clock like it does for so many people. I'm personally extremely happy. The days are longer, the weather's getting warmer. Great time to be alive. This is my favorite time of the year. I just absolutely get happier once we actually spring forward. Like I said, weather starts warming up, the sun's out longer, the trees start getting green again. Everything is just great, and we have a fantastic slate on DraftKings for you tonight. There's very little value on tonight's slate. Well, okay, there's mid-range value, but there's not a lot of sub 4,500 value to really attack or sink your teeth into. So it's probably going to look like a more balanced approach today. And if something changes, we do have like one possible big time player that might sit out in Jason Tatum. And if he sits out, it creates a little bit more value. Again, not absolute bottom of the barrel salary value, but mid 4K value that'll pop up that allows us to really plug in maybe one or two higher priced players than we're considering plugging into lineups if you're building 5, 10, 20, 50, or 150 for your GPP lineups tonight. And there's a bunch of good GPPs tonight. If you're a big baller, the 777, 444, 444 bounce pass celebration is out there with 100K to first. Or if you're at the $15 level, they've got the 500K Monday night throwdown. I appreciate you guys coming back just another week for these videos. If you do me just a little bit of a favor and drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel. It really means a lot. It helps support the channel. It helps me grow this channel, which is really the aim of what I'm trying to do here. And be sure that you ring that notifications bell so that you get a reminder anytime I post new content right here on YouTube. All the links to all my other socials are down below in the description. Just click show more. I stream 4 or 5 times a week. Would love to see you over there on Twitch. Jump over to that channel. Give me a follow there as well. I would greatly appreciate it. And let's get to this slate. So click on the 500K tournament. Got 6 games on tap tonight. Toronto against Cleveland. Sacramento visits Washington in the highest totaled game of the day. Detroit against Brooklyn. Charlotte against Houston. OKC goes to Utah, and Boston squares off against the Clippers in the latest tip-off of the night. If you want to get players from that game, you want to plug them into the lower spots in your lineup, the flex spots in your lineup, the guard, the forward, and the utility spot, because that allows you the maximum flexibility. If you're playing in head-to-head games, or if you're blocked in a tournament, you can pivot to one other player from that game at the same price or lower. And if somebody locks them up in one of their top spots, you can only swap them to one of the players at the same exact position. It gives you more flexibility, to give you chances to jump up to the top of the leaderboard, which is really where you want to be. As I said before, in that game, we have a situation where Jason Tatum, if he sits out tonight, it's a game time decision for Monday's game against the Clippers. Hopefully we get news before lineups lock. If we don't, you might want to leave yourself 1 or 2 players from this game in the flex spot, at least in tournaments for sure, so that you can jump to the other value plays. If he's out, that really opens up a little bit more usage, a little bit more scoring possibility for somebody like Al Horford, who becomes more palatable at 6.6K. If Tatum is out, Marcus Smart at 5.1, Marcus Morris at 4.5K becomes extremely valuable, as he would see a minutes jump and a usage jump. Jaylen Brown, same sort of situation, would see a minutes jump and a usage jump and is only 4,500. So hopefully we get this news before lock, or hopefully we get it in the last couple of minutes before lock, right? The last 15 minutes or so. Because there's enough people that set it and forget it, and I want to remind you not to be one of those guys. Always be at your workstation for the final 45, 30, 45 minutes of lock, an hour before lock, so that you can be aware of all these changes. Enough people just kind of set their lineup and go, you know what? There's 20 minutes to lock. I'm going to go read this article or do something else, or I've got my lineups for tonight and I'm all done. Don't be the rake. If you play like that, you're the rake. Fine folks over here at Daily Roto are going to help you with lineup tips all the way up until lock. Anytime that there's news that breaks, they give you an email with the news and their suggestion for how it's going to affect things, and the projections on the site are always changed up to the minute, boom, all the way until the final game of the night tips off. Because of the late swap possibilities, get over there, use promo code SMIZLIFE at checkout for a 10% discount. Link down below in the description. So starting at the top, we got James Harden. Going up against Charlotte and at home, he has been up and down recently. You definitely want to have shares of him in GPPs tonight. If you're playing cash games, I said already, I think it's more of a balanced night. Not really somebody that I'm targeting if I'm playing one lineup in cash games, but if you're going after tournaments, and even if you're playing single entry or 3-max, you're probably going to want to consider taking James Harden because of the upside, Harden and or Westbrook in those lineups, because of the massive upside potential, even in games where you don't think that they have it. We saw it this game against Miami, a pace down game with Chris Paul, and everybody else came back for that game. He was 11K. There was a lot of other quote unquote better value plays from a medium projection standpoint. But when you look at ceiling possibilities, James Harden has as much of a ceiling possibility as anybody else, and therefore should be in your tournament allocation, if even as low as 5 or 10%, every single night that he is on the floor, because this 58 points in real life came out of nowhere, which resulted in a 95-point night. He broke the slate, and you could not win if you did not have James Harden in your lineups that night. I'm not predicting a 50-plus point performance or outburst from James Harden this evening, but it's one of those things you have to keep in the back of your mind. You can't write off the superstar players on any single night of play, whether you think it's going to be a blowout, whether you think that, well, he's got too many players, he's not going to get the usage. A player like this can get hot, and if he gets hot, he's going to be bonkers. So James Harden, in my tournament allocations, not super highly owned for me this evening, but always got a really big ceiling and somebody that you want to have in tournaments. At least 10% every night. Russ Westbrook, sort of the same situation. Again, unless some supreme value opens up on this slate, I don't know that I can go after him just because the price is a little bit restrictive in what we can do with the rest of our lineup. There's a lot of value in the mid-range this evening, from 7,500 or 8,000 down to like 5,000, maybe 4,800. That's where most of the point per dollar plays exist tonight. You're going to be able to build a lot of different lineup possibilities with those guys, even though it's only a 6-game slate. Now, if news breaks and something changes, obviously we're going to pivot. My favorite style of lineup building, the one I'm most comfortable with, the one I've won the most with in my daily fantasy career, has been a Stars and Scrubs approach in NBA, because it just works, right? Because of the minutes equals money philosophy, that if a player is priced at 12 minutes a game and he's 3,000 to 3,500, it's very easy for him, if he is a good point per minute producer, which many are, when they get those extra minutes, that player bumps up to 25 or 26 minutes because of an injury or a problem or whatever, a suspension or rest or minutes management, load management, as they call it today. That player bumps up, all of a sudden has a very distinct possibility of 18 to 25 fantasy points, possibly more, getting between 6 and 10x on their salary, which opens up these guys, Russ Westbrook, James Harden, all those other players. That's where I'm most comfortable, is playing Stars and Scrubs. I can obviously play the mid-range value game as well, but NBA lends itself best to Stars and Scrubs, especially at this time at the end of the season. You see the Lakers have already shut down half of their roster with Ingram out and Lonzo out and LeBron James on a minutes restriction, if not resting certain nights, not playing back-to-backs. You're going to see that a lot more throughout March and into April. This is the time of year that Stars and Scrubs really flourishes, but I just don't see it tonight. So Russ Westbrook, again, a tournament possibility for me against Utah, pace down, good defensive team, but let's say he has 17 points, 12 assists, 11 rebounds. All of a sudden, he's in tournament winning ground for you. So again, low allocation for me. I think that I'm going to live in the mid-range tonight. I'm going to start here with Bradley Beal. Highest total game of the night against Sacramento. You look at his game logs. I'm looking right here at field goal attempts: 25, 21, 19, 19, 23. The minutes sitting between 42 and 37 on most nights. That 45 against Minnesota, obviously just kind of a anomaly because it was an overtime game. But knowing that he is going to be a guy... Oh, I don't want to optimize my computer right now. Why does that pop up right now? Anyway, knowing that he's going to get the minutes and knowing that he's going to get the shots at only 9,700, you know, looking at his past 5 games, 54 DraftKings points, well above the 45 that he's averaging on the season against Sacramento, where offensive opportunity should be at a premium, let's just say, plentiful, bountiful. Bradley Beal going to plug in for me at the shooting guard spot. Now, talked about how Westbrook is somebody that might be a little bit restrictive. You look at Paul George and how he's feasted on Oklahoma, or on Utah this year while being on Oklahoma. 40 minutes a game over 3 games, 68 fantasy points per game on average, 39 real life points per game on average, way above his 28 points per game, way above his 51 points per game now. If he can continue scoring the rock against this team, and 60% above on the from the field on the season in the 3 games against Utah. Is it a small sample size? Of course. Any split situation is a small sample size. I just don't know that they can stop Paul George from scoring the ball. I don't know that many teams can stop Paul George from scoring the ball. He's a top 3 MVP candidate on the year right now. Oklahoma City really trying to pile up wins at this point of the season for playoff seeding purposes. The floor and the ceiling combo here, really, really good for me, especially considering the price, and I can plug him in at small forward. Paul George is where I want to go. There's other plays as well that I think are viable here. Kyrie Irving, especially if Tatum is out. Andre Drummond, not really all that interested. Donovan Mitchell, possibility here for him. Blake Griffin against Brooklyn, also a possibility here for me. He's been playing very well despite the circumstances there in Detroit. Kemba Walker against Houston. GPP possibility, not really a cash game play for me this evening. Good floor, possibility of a ceiling because of the speed that Houston plays with. D'Angelo Russell has been a guy that's really popped in everybody's point per dollar projections based on the fact that he sits between, in this mid to 8K range, right? And tonight he's on the low end of that. Expected to score every single night for this team. The highest correlation between real life and fantasy is his ability to score the basketball. Second is minutes played. You know he's going to get the minutes. You know he's going to get the shots. And if they happen to fall at greater than a 26% clip, as they did last game, 40 points plus is definitely a possibility for somebody like him. Kevin Love, again, a good point per minute producer. Not playing a ton of minutes, but playing 28 to 32 pretty much every single night. You know that you have a double-double on average on the season, and if he gets that, you get the bonus points on Draftkings. So again, a lot of value here in the mid-range, mid to high-range guys. Now, how are we going to fit these players into our lineups? Well, I mentioned that I really want to play a bunch of players from this Washington-Sacramento game. Thomas Satoransky, just another one. Look at the minutes played. 25 minutes on the season. This is exactly what I'm talking to you guys about every single day on this video. 25 minutes a game on the season. Last few games, 41, 37, 41, was 30 here, 37. A lot more run for Thomas Satoransky recently, and as those minutes increase, we have not seen his salary increase all that much. 58, 54, 49, 48, 52, 56, 55, and he's sitting at 58 tonight. Knowing that projecting that I believe he's going to get 35 to 40 minutes played this evening, again, in a game where there's going to be a ton of offensive possibilities, a guy like Thomas Satoransky does have the possibility for a double-double, albeit an outside chance. He can score the basketball enough. He chips in with rebounds. He chips in with steals and or blocks. There's enough here. There's enough meat on the bone for a kid like Thomas Satoransky to get me to the 30-plus fantasy points that I want from him, with the possibility of getting over 40 for 5,800 that puts him in play for me tonight. Another one that we're looking at, Cedi Osman for Cleveland, somebody else playing very solid minutes. Again, efficiency is going to come up and down with young players, but on the nights that he is able to be a little bit more efficient than shooting 11% or 20% from the field, you're seeing games where he can score you 30 or 40 fantasy points for only 5K. Would I prefer that we get news on Jason Tatum and knowing that I can play somebody like Jaylen Brown and other Celtics against the Clippers? Most certainly. And if that happens, I will definitely be pivoting to those sort of plays. But Cedi Osman at 5K is in play for me this evening. And another easy value play based on minutes, based on rebounding possibility, based on his scoring ability inside, is going to be Jared Allen. Going to be very efficient inside, as he typically is, just because, he's getting looks around the basket. I like the fact that the minutes have come up the last 2 games to 27 and 30 minutes over the last 2 games, averaging 26 on the season, 43 and 35 fantasy points last game, 4,800, an easy mid-range plug-and-play value. At this point in time, 9 a.m. on the West Coast, lineups don't lock for another 7 hours, so hopefully other value opens up that allows us to feel a little bit more comfortable, maybe come down off of these mid-range values to the extreme value level, to bump up 1 or 2 of these to that 6K to 75, 6K to 8K price point, where I can feel a lot more comfortable about the shots, the minutes, the offensive usage rate and assist rate of the players at that level. But that's going to be the 5 that I start with today. Appreciate you guys tuning in once again. All the links to all my socials are down below. Drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notifications bell. There's a couple other videos right over there for you guys to check out, and I'll see you tomorrow. Good luck tonight. Bye, everybody.